Have you ever met someone who knew impossible things about your life? At 2:47 a.m. on Route 66, I slammed my brakes because an old woman was screaming my name in the middle of nowhere, not my CB handle, but my real name, Earl Thompson. And what she told me next still makes my hands shake. 7 days, Earl. 7 days until your heart stops, unless you call your son. Now, how did she know about Jake? The son I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. How did she know about the chest pains I'd been hiding from everyone? And why did her eyes fill with tears when she mentioned the secret that had torn my family apart? My name is Earl Thompson. I've been driving trucks for 23 years, and I don't believe in the supernatural. Or at least I didn't until that night when everything I thought I knew about life, death, and second chances got turned upside down. If you've ever had someone you love slip away because of pride, if you've ever wondered whether it's too late to make things right, you need to hear what happened when I took that purple crystal from her hand. Hit subscribe and like this video right now, and comment below where you're listening from, whether it's a truck stop, a lonely highway, or your own home, because I want to know how far this story travels. What I discovered about that old woman at mile marker 291 will change how you see every stranger on the road. Name's Earl Thompson, and I've been hauling freight across these United States for damn near 30 years. Started when I was 22, fresh out of Tulsa with nothing but a Class A CDL and a head full of dreams. Now I'm 52, got a bad knee from that jackknife in '09, and more miles under my belt than most folks drive in 10 lifetimes. I was running a load of auto parts from Chicago to Los Angeles that July. Nothing special, just another cross-country haul down the mother road. My Peterbilt 579 was purring like a kitten. All 18 wheels eating up that asphalt like it was Sunday dinner. Had my CB crackling with the usual chatter, bears at the chicken coop near Amarillo, construction backing up traffic outside Flagstaff. Same old, same old. You know, after 3 decades of driving, you develop a routine. Coffee at 4 a.m., pre-trip inspection by 4:30, wheels rolling by 5. I knew every truck stop from here to Kingdom Come, every diner that served decent pie, every stretch where the Smokies liked to hide. Hell, I could drive Route 66 with my eyes closed. Not that I would, mind you. Safety first, that's what I always told the rookies. My life was predictable, and that's how I liked it. Wife passed 5 years back, cancer took her quick, and my boy Jake was off in Seattle doing computer stuff I didn't understand. The road was all I had left, and it was enough, or so I thought. That particular run started like any other. Grabbed my usual thermos of black coffee from the Flying J, checked my logbook, made sure my load was secure. The dispatcher said it was a hot load, needed in LA by Thursday morning, but I had plenty of time. Weather was clear all the way through. No storms brewing in Tornado Alley, no snow in the high desert. Should have been a milk run. But you know what they say about the best laid plans. Sometimes the universe has other ideas, and sometimes those ideas come wearing strange clothes and carrying a walking stick with a purple stone. It was just past midnight when I hit that lonely stretch between Tucumcari and Santa Rosa. You know the part, where the old road runs parallel to I-40, but feels like it's in another world entirely. No streetlights, no buildings, just you and the ghosts of everyone who ever traveled this highway. That's when I saw her. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks. You drive long enough at night, you start seeing things. Shadow deer, phantom cars, all sorts of nonsense. But this was different. There was a woman standing right in the middle of my lane, waving what looked like a big stick over her head. I hit the air brakes hard, felt all 40 tons of truck and trailer fighting physics. The Pete shuddered and groaned, but she held steady, stopped maybe 20 feet from where this crazy lady was standing. My heart was hammering like a freight train, and I was already reaching for the CB to call it in. Then she screamed. Not a scared scream, mind you. This was different, like she was trying to wake the dead or call down lightning from the sky. The sound cut through the rumble of my diesel engine like a hot knife through butter. And in that moment, under the pale moonlight, I got my first good look at her. She had to be 70 if she was a day, wearing some kind of long purple robe that looked like it came from a costume shop. Her hair was silver white, wild and flowing, like she'd been standing in a windstorm. But it was the staff that really caught my attention. Gnarled wood about 6 feet tall with a purple crystal the size of a baseball mounted on top. The damn thing seemed to glow in the darkness. "Earl Thompson!" she hollered, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. How the hell did she know my name? "Earl Thompson, you get down from that truck right now. The Lord's got words for you." Now, I ain't no fool. 30 years on the road teaches you to be careful. Could be a setup for a hijacking, could be some crazy meth head, could be anything. Smart Money said to throw it in gear and go around her. "Mom, you need to get out of the road," I called through the window. "You're gonna get yourself killed out here." She laughed, actually laughed, and struck the ground with that staff of hers. I swear on my mother's grave, purple sparks flew from where it hit the asphalt. "Your mama's watching you from heaven, Earl," the old woman said, her voice suddenly soft as silk. "Sarah Thompson, born in Muskogee, died when you were 17, truck accident on Highway 69. You blamed yourself for 20 years because you asked her to pick you up from that party." My blood ran cold. Nobody knew about that, nobody, not even my late wife. It was my secret shame, the guilt I'd carried like a stone in my gut since I was a kid. My hands started shaking on the steering wheel. How do you know that?" I managed to croak out. "The Lord shows me things, Earl, things that need healing. Now get down here before I have to come up there and drag you down myself." Against every instinct I'd developed in 3 decades of driving, I set the parking brake and climbed down from the cab. My boots hit that warm asphalt and I could smell the desert sage mixing with diesel fumes. The woman was shorter than she'd looked from up high, maybe 5 foot nothing, but she had presence like a mountain. "Name's Magdalene," she said, extending a weathered hand. "Maggie to friends, and you're gonna be a friend, Earl, whether you like it or not." Her handshake was firm, stronger than any 70-year-old woman had a right to be. Up close, I could see her eyes were the deepest brown, almost black, with gold flecks that seemed to dance in the moonlight. She smelled like lavender and wood smoke. "Listen, lady, Maggie, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but no game," she interrupted. "The Lord woke me up 3 nights ago, showed me your face clear as day, told me to wait right here, right at mile marker 291, for a trucker named Earl Thompson driving a blue Peterbilt hauling auto parts. Said you got something needs fixing before it's too late." I glanced at the mile marker, 291. My skin prickled with goosebumps despite the warm night air. "You're gonna think I'm crazy," she continued, "but that's all right. Most folks do. Been called worse than crazy in my time. But Earl, you got exactly 7 days to make peace with your boy. 7 days before the accident." "What accident? Jake's fine. Talked to him last week." She shook her head sadly, purple stone catching the starlight. "Not if you don't listen. Not if you don't break the pattern. Your daddy died without talking to you. You're fixing to do the same with Jake unless you change course right now." "You're full of shit," I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Dad had died sudden, heart attack at 53, just a year older than I was now. We hadn't spoken in 2 years over some stupid argument about me dropping out of college to drive trucks. Maggie just smiled, patient as a saint. "You got that same pain in your chest, don't you? Started about 6 months ago. Keep telling yourself it's heartburn, just like your daddy did. When's the last time you saw a doctor, Earl? The pain, that little flutter and squeeze I'd been ignoring, popping Tums like candy and pretending it was just too much truck stop coffee. My mouth went dry as West Texas dust. "How you doing this?" I whispered. "Told you, the Lord shows me things. Been this way since I was a little girl in Louisiana. My grandmama had the gift too, passed it down through the blood. But I use it for His glory now. Been saved and sanctified 43 years come August." She started walking toward my truck, that staff clicking against the pavement with each step. "Come on, Earl. We got us a drive to make. I need to get to Albuquerque, and you need to hear what the Lord's got to say about your future. I can't just give rides to strangers. Company policy, insurance regulations. DOT would have my ass in a sling." Maggie turned back, and her eyes were fierce as a desert storm. "Earl Thompson, you can follow all the rules and regulations you want, and in 7 days you'll be dead as a doornail, and your boy will spend the rest of his life wondering why his daddy was too proud to pick up the phone. Or you can bend one little rule and maybe, just maybe, get a second chance at the life you're throwing away." She walked to the passenger side and stood there, waiting. "Besides, check your Qualcomm. Your dispatch is about to send you a message about a medical emergency reroute. Gonna tell you to drop your trailer at the Loves in Santa Rosa and bobtail to Presbyterian Hospital in Albuquerque. Seems someone called in about a driver showing signs of a heart attack." My Qualcomm beeped. My hands were shaking as I climbed back up and checked the screen. Sure enough, emergency reroute orders. Exactly like she'd said. The timestamp showed it had just come through. But how could she have known? I looked down at her through the passenger window. She was smiling up at me, patient and certain as the sunrise. "Well," she said, "you gonna open this door? Or do I need to miracle my way in there?" Against every bit of common sense I'd ever possessed, I reached over and popped the lock. Maggie settled into the passenger seat like she'd been riding in big rigs all her life. She placed that strange staff between her knees, the purple crystal throwing weird shadows across the dashboard. I dropped the trailer at Love's just like dispatch ordered, feeling like I was in some kind of dream. "You know," she said as we pulled back onto 66, "your daddy came through here in 71, same exact stretch of road. He was thinking about leaving your mama then. Had a woman in Amarillo." I nearly drove off the road. "That's a damn lie. My parents were married 34 years. Never said he did it, just said he thought about it. But something changed his mind right here on this highway. Want to know what it was?" I gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles white in the dashboard lights. Part of me wanted to throw her out, call the company, report the whole crazy thing. But another part, a bigger part, needed to know. "He saw an accident," Maggie continued. "Terrible thing, family of 4, hit head-on by a drunk driver. The daddy survived just long enough to hold his wife's hand one last time. Your father pulled over to help, held that man while he died. Decided right then that whatever problems he had with your mama weren't worth losing what they'd built together." The CB crackled to life. "Breaker, breaker, this is Roadrunner. Anybody got their ears on? Got a bear running radar at mile 287 southbound? Back it down, drivers." "That's Jimmy Hutchins," Maggie said before I could respond. "Drives for Swift, lives in Topeka. His daughter's getting married next month, but he ain't gonna make it to the wedding if he doesn't get that melanoma on his neck checked out." "How could you possibly—" She reached over and grabbed the CB mic. "Roadrunner, this is the purple lady riding with Big Blue. You tell Jimmy to get that spot on his neck looked at before August, you hear? Tell him Maggie says the Lord ain't done with him yet." Static. Then, "What the hell? Who is this? How'd you know about—" Maggie hung up the mic and smiled. "Plant seeds, Earl. That's all we can do sometimes. Plant seeds and pray they grow." We drove in silence for a few miles, the engine humming its familiar song. The desert stretched out endless on both sides, nothing but sage and shadow under a blanket of stars. I kept stealing glances at her, this impossible woman who knew impossible things. "Your boy Jake," she said suddenly. "He's got something to tell you, been carrying it for 3 years now, scared to death of how you'll react. That's why he barely calls anymore, not because he doesn't love you. Lord, that boy loves you fierce, but because he's terrified of disappointing you. Jake's a good kid, got nothing to be disappointed about. Even if he tells you he's gay." The words hit like a sledgehammer. I felt the truck drift slightly before I corrected, my mind racing. Jake? My Jake? But then, things started clicking into place. No girlfriends in college. That roommate he'd lived with for 2 years, the way he'd changed the subject whenever I asked about settling down. "You're lying," I said, but my voice was hollow. Deep down, in that place where we know truths we don't want to admit, I think I'd always suspected, just never wanted to face it. "No, honey, I'm not lying. And that accident I mentioned. 7 days from now, Jake's gonna finally work up the courage to call you. He's going to be driving to work, nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, practicing what he wants to say. He's going to be so distracted he won't see that red light, won't see that semi coming from the left. My chest tightened, not the familiar flutter, but real fear. No, unless you call him first. Unless you let him know it's safe. Unless you choose love over pride, Earl Thompson. We were coming up on Albuquerque now, the city lights glowing against the desert darkness. Presbyterian Hospital loomed ahead, all lit up like a beacon. I should have been thinking about the chest pains, about the medical emergency that supposedly brought me here, but all I could think about was Jake. "Pull over," Maggie said suddenly. "Right here before the hospital exit." I guided the Peterbilt onto the shoulder, air brakes hissing. The moment we stopped, Maggie grabbed her staff and climbed down. I followed, confused, and more than a little scared. "What are we doing?" She walked to the front of the truck, planted that staff in the ground, and looked up at the stars. "Earl, I need you to understand something. The Lord didn't send me just to save your life. He sent me to save your soul. You've been driving roads your whole life, but you've been running from the most important destinations. I don't understand. Your mama's death wasn't your fault. Your daddy's silence wasn't your burden to carry. Your wife's cancer wasn't punishment for your sins. And Jake being gay isn't a failure on your part. You've been hauling guilt that ain't yours to haul, and it's killing you sure as any heart attack." She raised that staff high, the purple crystal catching every bit of light from the city and stars. But tonight, right here on Route 66, at this crossroads between life and death, between love and pride, between past and future, tonight, you get to choose. The crystal began to pulse with a deep purple light, not reflecting anymore, generating its own illumination. My rational mind said, run, said this was impossible, said crazy old women don't have magic powers. But my heart said, listen. I'm going to show you something, Earl. Something the Lord showed me 3 nights ago. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll have to choose what to do with the knowledge. You ready for that? I thought about Jake, about 7 days, about patterns repeating through generations, fathers and sons dying with words unspoken, love unexpressed, pride standing where forgiveness should be. "Show me," I whispered. Maggie smiled, sad and beautiful all at once. "Brave man. Stupid maybe, but brave. Close your eyes, Earl. Close your eyes and see what happens if you don't change." She touched that glowing crystal to my forehead, and the world exploded into purple light. The purple light swallowed me whole, and suddenly I wasn't standing on the shoulder of Route 66 anymore. I was floating, watching from above like some kind of ghost, and below me was a hospital room. Presbyterian Hospital, the same one we'd just passed. There I was in the bed, hooked up to more machines than a spaceship. Tubes down my throat, wires everywhere, monitors beeping their electronic heartbeat. I looked grey as old dishwater, chest barely moving. The calendar on the wall showed July 23rd, 7 days from now. A doctor was talking to someone in the hallway. I drifted closer, passed right through the wall, like it wasn't there. It was Jake. My boy looked like he'd aged 10 years, eyes red and puffy, shoulders shaking. "We did everything we could," the doctor was saying. "The damage to his heart was too extensive. If he'd come in sooner, maybe—" "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson. Is there anyone else we should call?" "No," Jake whispered. "It was just us, just me and Dad, and we hadn't talked in months. I was going to call him. I was finally going to tell him." He broke down completely then, sliding down the wall until he was sitting on that cold hospital floor. "I was going to tell him about Marcus, about the wedding. I just wanted him to know who I really was before. Oh God, I waited too long. I waited too long, and now he's dying thinking I didn't love him." The scene shifted, purple light swirling like smoke. Now I was at a funeral. My funeral. Maybe 30 people there, mostly other truckers I'd known over the years. Jake stood at the podium trying to speak, but the words wouldn't come. He just stood there, staring at a piece of paper, tears rolling down his face. "My dad was—" he started. then stopped, started again. My dad was a good man who drove roads his whole life but never found his way home. And I was too much of a coward to help him find it. Another shift. Jake's apartment, boxes everywhere. He was packing up, leaving Seattle. On the table was a wedding invitation. Jake Thompson and Marcus Chen request the honor of your presence. Torn in half. Can't do it, he was saying to someone on the phone. Can't have a wedding without... He was supposed to walk me down the aisle. Even if he hated it, even if he refused, at least I would have asked. At least he would have known. The purple light pulled me forward through time. 1 year, 2, 5. Jake, older now, sitting in a therapist's office. I dream about him sometimes, he was saying. He's calling me on the CB radio, trying to tell me something important. But there's too much static. I can never hear what he's trying to say. The visions shattered like purple glass, and I was back on the roadside, gasping like I'd been underwater. My knees hit the gravel hard, and I was sobbing, deep, ugly sobs that came from somewhere I'd locked away the day we buried my wife. Maggie knelt beside me, one hand on my shoulder. That's one path, Earl, the path you're on right now, but the Lord's offering you a different road. Show me, I gasped. Please show me the other way. She touched the crystal to my forehead again, gentler this time. The purple light was warmer now, softer. I saw myself in the same hospital room, but sitting up, awake. Jake was there, holding my hand. We were both crying, but it was different, cleaner somehow. Healing tears instead of grieving ones. I'm sorry, Dad, he was saying. I should have told you sooner. No, I heard myself reply. I'm sorry for making you feel like you had to hide. Your mama knew, didn't she? She always was smarter than me. Jake laughed through his tears. Yeah, she knew. Said you'd come around when you were ready. Said love always finds a way, even if it has to take the long road. The scene shifted. A backyard wedding. String lights twinkling like stars. Jake in a sharp blue suit, Marcus beside him in grey. And there I was, older, greyer, but standing tall. When the officiant asked who gave these men in marriage, I stepped forward. I do, I said, voice strong and clear, with all the love and pride a father could have. Another shift, a truck stop somewhere on I-40. I was sitting in a booth, across from a young driver who looked scared and lost. Let me tell you something, I was saying. Almost died 7 years ago, heart attack. But this lady, strangest damn thing, she saved my life. Not just my heart, but my whole life, taught me that the loads we haul ain't nothing compared to the love we carry. More scenes flashed by. Thanksgiving dinners with Jake and Marcus. Video calls from the road. A granddaughter, adopted, beautiful, calling me Grandpa Earl. Jake and I doing a coast-to-coast run together for my retirement trip, talking about everything and nothing over the CB. The last vision was simple. Jake and I sitting on the hood of my old Peterbilt, watching the sunset paint the desert red and gold. We weren't saying anything, just being. Together. Father and son. The way it should be. The purple light faded, and I was back on the ground. Maggie's weathered hand still on my shoulder. The crystal in her staff had gone dark, just a regular stone now. 2 roads, Earl, she said softly. Both starting from right here, right now. Which one you gonna take? I struggled to my feet, legs shaky as a newborn colt. My chest hurt, really hurt now, but it was different. Not the squeeze of a dying heart, but the ache of one learning to feel again. I need to call my son, I said. Maggie smiled, and for just a moment I swear she looked younger, almost radiant. Hospital's right there. They'll take care of your heart. But you call Jake first. Don't wait. Not another minute. I climbed back up into my truck, grabbed my phone from the cup holder. My hands were shaking as I scrolled to Jake's number. How long since I'd called him? 2 months? 3? It rang once, twice, 3 times. I was about to hang up when... Dad? Jake's voice, surprised and worried. Is everything okay? It's like 2 a.m. there. Jake, I said, and my voice broke. Son, I got something to tell you. Something I should have said a long time ago. Dad, "You're scaring me," Jake said. "What's wrong?" I took a deep breath, looking out at Maggie through the windshield. She was leaning on her staff, watching me with those knowing eyes, patient as time itself. "Nothing's wrong, son. Everything's finally right." "Jake, I know about Marcus." Silence. Dead air for so long, I thought the call had dropped. "Dad, Let me finish," I said, gentle as I could. "I know about Marcus, and I know you've been scared to tell me. And that's my fault, son. I made you feel like you had to hide who you are, and I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry." I could hear Jake breathing on the other end, ragged and uneven. Who told you? Doesn't matter how I know. What matters is this. I love you, Jake, exactly as you are. And if Marcus makes you happy, then I want to meet him, want to know the man who's going to be part of our family. "Dad!" Jake was crying now. I could hear it. My boy was crying, and for the first time in years, I knew they were good tears. "I'm in Albuquerque," I continued, "having some chest pains, gonna get checked out, but I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. And when I get out of here, I'm coming to Seattle. We got a lot of catching up to do." "Dad, oh my God, chest pains? Which hospital? I'll catch a flight." "Presbyterian. But don't you fly out here in the middle of the night. I'm gonna be fine. Just promise me something." "Anything. Promise me we won't let this much time pass again. Promise me we'll talk, really talk. No more hiding, no more pretending. Deal?" "Deal," Jake whispered. "Dad, I love you too. I've wanted to tell you for so long." "I know, son. I know. Listen, I gotta go get checked in, but we'll talk tomorrow, okay? You, me, and Marcus, if he's around. I want to hear everything, the whole story." "Okay. Dad, thank you. Just thank you." And we said our goodbyes, and I sat there for a moment, phone in my hand, feeling like I'd just set down a 1,000-pound load I'd been hauling for years. When I looked up, Maggie was gone, just vanished, like she'd never been there at all. But there, on the ground where she'd been standing, was that purple crystal, glowing soft in the darkness. I climbed down and picked it up. It was warm to the touch, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. As I held it, I heard her voice one more time, carried on the desert wind. "The road home is always open, Earl. You just gotta be brave enough to take it." The ER docs at Presbyterian didn't mess around. Soon as I mentioned chest pains and family history, they had me hooked up to an EKG, blood draws, the whole 9 yards. Turns out Maggie, or the Lord, or whoever, had been right on the money. 90% blockage in the LAD. The Widowmaker, they called it. "You're lucky you came in when you did," Dr. Patel said, studying my charts. "Another week, maybe less, and we'd be having a very different conversation. We need to get you into surgery. Tonight." As they prepped me for the stent procedure, I clutched that purple crystal in my hand. The nurse, a kind woman named Rosa, noticed it. "That's beautiful," she said. "Amethyst. Gift from a friend," I told her. "Guardian angel, maybe." Rosa smiled. "We all need those. You got family we should call." "My son knows. He'll be here tomorrow." The anesthesia started pulling me under, and I could have sworn I smelled lavender and wood smoke. Somewhere in that twilight between waking and sleeping, I heard Maggie's voice again. "Death and resurrection, Earl. Sometimes we gotta die to who we were, to become who we're meant to be." I woke up 6 hours later, chest sore but heart beating steady and strong. Jake was there, must have caught the red eye after all. He was holding my hand, and standing beside him was a young man with kind eyes and a worried smile. "Dad," Jake said, "this is Marcus." I squeezed my son's hand and reached out with my other one to Marcus. "Good to meet you, son. Jake's told me. Well, he's about to tell me everything, I hope." Marcus took my hand, his grip firm and warm. "It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Thompson. Jake talks about you all the time. All good, I hope. All complicated," Marcus said with a gentle smile. "But all love." We talked for hours, about their life in Seattle, their work, their plans, about the wedding they'd been planning but hadn't set a date for, about the daughter they hoped to adopt, about 1,000 dreams deferred because Jake had been waiting, we'd both been waiting, for a reconciliation we'd been too proud or scared to initiate. "I want to walk you down that aisle," I told them. "Both of you, if you'll have me." Jake broke down then, really broke down, and I held my son like I hadn't since he was little. Marcus stepped out to give us privacy, but I called him back. "You're family now," I said. "Family stays." 3 days later, they discharged me with a repaired heart and a list of medications. Jake and Marcus drove me to my truck, still parked at the hospital. As we walked through the parking lot, I told them about Maggie. The whole story, start to finish. "That's—" Jake started, then stopped. "Dad, that's impossible." "Lot of impossible things in this world," I said. "Sometimes you just gotta have faith." I showed them the purple crystal. In the daylight, it looked ordinary, pretty, but nothing special. Marcus held it up to the sun. "There's something inscribed on it," he said, squinting. "Looks like the road home is always open." Jake and I exchanged glances. I hadn't noticed any inscription before. "Dad," Jake said slowly, "we drove past that spot on the way here. Mile marker 291. There's nothing there, no houses, no buildings, nothing for miles." 6 months later, I was back on Route 66, but everything was different. My heart was ticking along smooth as a Swiss watch. I'd dropped 30 pounds, and most importantly, I had my son back. Jake and Marcus had asked me to haul some furniture to their new house. They were moving to Albuquerque to be closer to me while I recovered. As I approached mile marker 291, I slowed down. It was just past dawn, that magic hour when the desert turns gold and purple. I'd driven past this spot a dozen times since that night, always looking, never seeing anything but empty land and sky. But this morning was different. There was a small roadside memorial there, one of those white crosses people put up for accident victims, fresh flowers at its base, purple ones, lavender and desert sage. I pulled over and walked to it. The cross was weathered but well-maintained. The name on it made my blood run cold. Magdalene Maggie Clearwater, 1934-1987. Beloved mother, grandmother, and guide to lost souls. 37 years ago. There was a laminated photo attached to the cross. Even faded by sun and time, I recognized her immediately. Same wild silver hair, same knowing eyes, same crooked smile. But in the photo, she was wearing normal clothes, a simple dress and cardigan, no robes, no staff, just a grandmother standing in front of an old pickup truck. "Found something interesting?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. A young woman was standing behind me, holding fresh flowers. She had Maggie's eyes. "Sorry," she said. "Didn't mean to startle you. I'm Anna Clearwater. I come here every month to tend to Grandma's memorial." "Your grandmother?" Anna nodded. "She died here, July the 16th, 1987. Heart attack while driving. They said she pulled over, probably knowing something was wrong. A trucker found her the next morning, sitting peaceful as could be against that rock over there, watching the sunrise." My mouth went dry. July the 16th, the same date I'd met Maggie, 37 years apart. "She was, special, wasn't she?" I managed. Anna smiled, that same knowing smile. "Very special. Used to say she had the gift of sight. Helped a lot of people in her time, truckers especially. She had a soft spot for them. Said they carried America's dreams down these old roads. She knelt and arranged the fresh flowers, lavender and purple sage. Funny thing is, people still report seeing her sometimes, always on July 16th, always helping someone who needs it. Cops think it's just tired drivers hallucinating, but..." She stood, brushing dirt from her knees. "But you've seen her, haven't you?" I couldn't speak, just nodded. "Thought so. You have that look, like you've been touched by something bigger than yourself." Anna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small purple stone. She left a box of these, said to give them to anyone who'd met her on the road, said they'd know what to do with them. I took the stone with shaking hands. It was identical to the one Maggie had left me, the one I now wore on a chain around my neck. "What did she tell you?" Anna asked softly. "She saved my life," I said. "Showed me 2 futures. Helped me choose the right road." Anna nodded like this made perfect sense. "That was her way. She used to say the dead don't rest easy when they leave love unfinished. Maybe that's why she keeps coming back, to help folks find their way home before it's too late. We stood there for a moment, two strangers connected by an impossible thread. Then Anna smiled and headed back to her car. "Take care, Mr. Thompson, Earl Thompson. Take care, Mr. Thompson, and remember, the road home is always open." After she drove away, I stood there for a long time, holding that second purple stone, feeling the weight of something I couldn't quite understand. Then I walked back to my truck and called Jake. "Hey, Dad," he answered on the first ring. "How's the run going?" "Good," I said. "Real good." "Hey, what time's that appointment with the adoption agency?" 3:00. "You're still coming, right?" "Wouldn't miss it for the world, son." "Dad, you okay? You sound different." I looked back at Maggie's memorial, the morning sun turning the white cross gold. "Yeah, I'm okay. Better than okay. Just thinking about gifts, you know. The ones we get, the ones we give, the ones we pass on. Getting philosophical on me, old man?" "Maybe a little." "Jake?" "Yeah. I love you, son. You and Marcus both. And that little girl you're gonna adopt? She's the luckiest kid in the world." "Dad," Jake's voice got thick, "love you too." I climbed back into my Peterbilt and fired her up. As I pulled onto Route 66, I caught a glimpse of something in my mirror. Just for a second. An old woman with wild silver hair standing by the memorial, waving goodbye. Or maybe hello. Or maybe both. I've driven this stretch of road 100 times since that night. Sometimes alone, sometimes with Jake riding shotgun, teaching him the routes like my daddy taught me. We've got a good thing going now, a little family trucking business. Thompson and Sons, though Marcus jokes we should call it Thompson and Sons-in-law. That little girl they adopted, named her Margaret. Maggie, for short. She's got this way of looking at you, like she can see right through to your soul. Jake says she gets it from me, but I know better. Some gifts skip around, find their way to where they're needed most. I keep both purple stones on my dashboard now, right where I can see them. Sometimes, on long nights when the highway hypnosis sets in, they seem to glow a little. And sometimes, just sometimes, I catch a whiff of lavender and wood smoke on the desert wind. Other drivers ask me about them occasionally. I tell them the truth. They were a gift from a friend who taught me that love is the only load worth hauling, and it don't never get too heavy if you share the weight. The young drivers, they usually laugh it off. But the old-timers, the ones who've spent their lives on these roads, they just nod, because they know. They've all met their own Maggies, one way or another. Guardian angels in strange disguises, waiting at the crossroads where one life ends and another begins. Route 66 ain't the main highway anymore, hasn't been for decades, but it's still there, still breathing, still teaching lessons to those who know how to listen. And on certain nights when the moon is dark and the stars are bright, you might see an old woman with a wooden staff walking along the shoulder. Don't be afraid. Pull over. Listen to what she has to say. Because the road home is always open, friends. You just got to be brave enough to take it. Have you ever met someone who knew impossible things